Hola, everyone. I am Tina. Ah, damn it. I already fucked up. All right. I am Karen of Tina Karen's Do the Tube. How are you? God.
We can switch roles if you want.
No,
I'll
no,
be
no, no.
Karen this
No.
week.
Welcome to Tina and Karen Do the Tube. I am Karen.
This is Tina. Hey,
Hey, everyone.
at that. Go
Yes.
Yoder Dame.
Yoder
At
Dame. What's
that.
Yoder Dame?
Yeah. I don't know. It's our knockoff Amish Notre Dame mascot.
Amish are
I think
interesting people. I don't know if they're interested in football, though.
Oh yeah, that's your old. Is that your first online username, the Amish Thug?
That's my gamer tag. And I
Okay.
think when I first started doing radio, I started to be the DJ Amish Thug. But that
Was Jerk
quickly.
Thatcher before that?
What?
Jerk Thatcher, was that before that?
That's I have a lot of alter egos. Jerk Thatcher is also just sort of I like to write. I do fiction writing, and he's sort of a vehicle, a ship for me to basically enter my own stories. Jerk Thatcher is basically just it's
He's
like
your
It's like
Kilgore
Kilgore Trout, exactly. Kilgore Trout. He's my Kilgore Trout.
All right.
But anyways,
Who is your moniker this week? It looks like a Aaron Rodgers reference here.
based Aaron Rodgers reference. Now, I still don't like Aaron Rodgers. I think he's one of the whiniest quarterbacks in the NFL, but I like him more this week.
I don't understand the based part. What's based?
You've never heard based?
What's that mean? I mean, I know what it means,
oh,
but what does it
Wait, what does it mean?
I like based on.
I always like doing these podcasts with you, Tina, because funny enough, you're so out of touch with internet culture, and I think that's great. You work
Yeah,
so
it makes
much.
for good content.
Yeah, you work so much, you just don't keep up with the lingo. Based is sort of it's I don't know how to explain it. Sort of the anti-woke.
Oh, all right. Like anti-woke. The slept.
The idea is like based in reality. Like someone is based when they basically are calling out the things they see as bullshit.
Oh, okay.
And that's what he's done this last week. So he was unvaccinated, and he talked about a lot of the stuff that he saw as being bullshit. So
Yeah, I think the fact that he tried to skirt the question when he was initially asked about it was,
yeah, he's immunized. Immunized.
yeah.
Which is funny, 'cause
no
that
one
used-
bothered to follow up.
Well, the funny part is that basically a couple years ago, that's what vaccinated mean. Now they changed the definition of vaccinated to basically just mean preventative care almost. Seriously,
Crazy.
when you get the smallpox vaccine, are there breakthrough cases of smallpox?
I don't think I've heard of any,
That's
at
'cause they
least in
did-
America.
Well, that's because they don't exist. The whole idea of a vaccine is it immunizes you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when he said immunize, he just basically mocked the idea that the vaccines don't actually do what they're supposed to do.
Yeah, but I don't know. Well, I wish he would miss the game against the Seahawks.
Oh yeah, who knows? But above that, he's been taking ivermectin, so great. And he says he feels great. He hasn't felt sick a day, which makes sense because about 80% of the people who get COVID are asymptomatic. So especially a healthy young guy like him.
Is he like 37?
That's still young for COVID standards, for the record.
Pretty young compared to Tom Brady.
It's pretty young for anyone who died of COVID.
That, jeez. How long does Brady keep playing QB?
Oh, people are talking about this being his last year, but I just don't see it. Statistically, he's like the top of the league.
Yeah,
He's having a great year, and his team is on track to probably get the number 1 or number 2 seed, and he probably will play in another Super Bowl. I don't know if he gets one more Super Bowl, he might retire because it's like 8. It's overkill.
Is he trying to beat like Jordan, right?
I
He
don't
already
know.
beat Jordan in a number of like championships,
Well, the thing,
right?
but Jordan doesn't even have the most championships for NBA. You know, because
Yeah, that's
Bill
true,
Russell
yeah.
has what, like 10 or something. All right, but like, so it's not even. But like in terms of Super Bowls, no one comes close to Tom Brady right now. I think the next highest is 4.
Yeah. Is it Bradshaw, right?
Bradshaw and Montana. Yeah. So
But Jordan never lost the championship though.
Neither did Bradshaw or Montana. Oh, you're talking about Brady. Oh yeah, he lost
Yeah.
3. But I had a lot of debates with my friend about this when it comes to football. He says if you a loss in the Super Bowl, you never recover from that, which means like in the hierarchy of quarterbacks, the Mount Rushmore of quarterbacks, he still doesn't like Tom Brady on the top 4 because he lost too many Super Bowls. Once you lose a Super Bowl, you're out.
Wow, that's a different standard.
It is a dumb standard. I tell him that all the time. It's like you're basically saying to be the second best team in the it's better to be the 3rd or 32nd best team in the league than being the second best team in the league. It's dumb.
Interesting.
Right. But on with the video.
You don't want to talk about your birthday at all?
I turned 32. It's
Hey.
not a major year. We had a pretty good day. We watched 1 or 2 of my favorite movies. We took a walk in a park and played some games together. It was good. Me and my wife.
All right.
Yeah,
Got
I didn't do anything
plans
that
for later
special.
too.
When I'm done with this podcast, the podcast is the one thing I was looking forward to the most, to be honest. Yep, congratulations. So there's that. Afterwards, I'm gonna get like a pizza and we're gonna watch Black Widow.
Oh, have you seen it yet?
No, we started watching it Friday night, but it was late, so.
Don't come in with any expectations.
I don't know. They got Hopper in there.
Yeah.
What's his name?
I
Yeah.
wish he was in there more.
I
talked.
talked.
I'll let you.
We got to the point where they rescue him, and then that's pretty much where we stopped. But it's kind of funny that, like, in season 3 of Stranger Things, he gets kidnapped by the Russians, and in Black Widow, he is Russian. So I'm thinking like a little like
Never put that together.
It's the same character. It's the same character.
I never finished season 2 of Stranger Things.
Oh, really?
No, I don't know. I just stopped mid-season, got busy
like-
with something, and never got back into
So
it.
you're not into Stranger Things, huh?
I like the first season a lot.
Yeah, everyone likes the first season, and even admittedly, I'll say the second and third season are nowhere near as good as the first. But I love the characters enough. I keep watching.
Yeah.
All right. Well, anyway, so let's get into our main video for tonight. And Tina and I are going to be reacting to this Vice video. If you couldn't tell, it's Vice. What it's like to be a QAnon influencer in 2021. So, for those who are unaware, QAnon. Do you want to explain it, or should I?
It's kind of like a you explain it.
All right, you love it. Well, funny enough, like I didn't know what QAnon was until I talked with you and Jeremy on this podcast.
Really?
Yeah, I never heard of it. I just hadn't heard of it, and I'm a huge conspiracy nut. So there you go. But yeah, QAnon is a kind of a loose collection of conspiracy theories, but the main idea is that the country is actually being run by a elite cabal of pedophiles and Satanists who are trying to eat the young or try to drink the blood of the babies and young people, I guess. And Donald Trump is fighting a covert war behind the scenes to stop them. Honestly, it doesn't seem that far-fetched.
I guess the big thing is, like, I'm surprised it's still going on. Like, the whole title is what it's like to be a QAnon influencer in 2021. And I think I heard there was supposed to be some big uprising and they were going to take back the presidency after like January 6th. And then like nothing happened.
Right. So the QAnon, the name itself comes from the fact that like apparently like a top government insider is posting on the internet forum 4chan or something, but under the name Q, and he's giving all the this like this secret insider government agent or whatever is giving out insider tips of what's going on, and
yeah, basically
it's kooky. But once again,
not too far fetched.
Well, I would say the thing that doesn't seem far fetched at all is the idea that the country is being run by pedophiles and Satanists. That doesn't seem far fetched at all to me.
Yeah, not really. I mean, I think like a loose definition of the term Satanist, but
Well, not even that loose, really. Like, wasn't it like after Texas did the abortion ban that like the Democratic Party like basically endorsed the Satanic Church of Texas?
Did the church come out against the abortion ban, right?
Yeah, the Satanic Church of Texas said that it was their religious right to kill, to have abortions.
I could see the Democratic Party coming out for that.
All right.
We almost had a Satanist on the podcast.
We did.
But he didn't seem like the elite cabal.
Well, I don't know. Well, okay, first, I don't know what does Satanism mean to you?
I don't think it's like worshiping, say, like a monotheistic, God. It seems more like a way of life, like a stoic person, but you're like a satanic person.
Satanic?
I guess so.
Well, I guess there's like 3 different versions of Satanism. There's more. I could probably go into a deep dive into like the actual Satanist religion, but it's not just a one-size-fits-all kind of thing. Now, there are people who genuinely like worship the devil, like perform sacrifices and rituals to honor the devil. That exists.
Witches.
Sure, witches, exactly. That
like
exists.
the movie we saw.
Which movie? Oh, yeah, The Witch. But that exists, but I don't think that's anywhere near the majority of Satanists. So Satanism... Yeah, there's
neither would I call them like just plain hedonists. That's something a little more than that.
I would say the vast majority of Satanists buy in more to, I think, there's what's the name of the guy? He came out in the 70s.
Aleister Crowley?
No, that was the 19th century. He might have actually been a legit Satanist. But no, it's damn, I'm gonna be bothered if I can't remember it. But there was the Church of what's his name? Okay, it bothers me, but basically, the name escapes me. Maybe I'll remember it during this video. But it's just the group of people who basically believe that God is the villain of the Bible. They don't actually believe that there is a God or not. But if you read the Bible, that the devil is actually the good guy and the bad guy is God, because God wants you to be a certain way. And the devil basically accepts you for who you are, kind of thing.
I could see that being interpreted that way.
Levian? I can't remember. Yeah, but the basic idea is like, so if you worship yourself, you're a Satanist in that kind of way. Like, and they basically want you to be strong and powerful. But like, we're like, God basically demands that you worship him. Satanists say, hey, you should worship yourself.
Yeah.
And then there's a lot of people who are just Satanists because they want to troll Christians. It's like, oh, you believe in Jesus and God and all that? Okay, well, I believe in the devil. Fuck you. So there's that. But
yeah, so, I mean, questionable if they're Satanists, but they're definitely pedophiles.
Well, that one's no-brainer to me. I mean, Epstein sort of blew the lid off of that.
Oh yeah, the Maxwell trial is supposed to be starting here.
Is it? Well, it's supposed to be starting.
Week.
Let's see if she makes it.
She almost made it this far, so.
Epstein almost made it that far. All right. Okay. Well, actually, let's get into the video itself because there's more to QAnon than just pedophiles and Satanists and covert warfare. I don't know. I want to learn a little bit. You want to learn a little bit, so let's get.
I want to see how they're doing, after the fallout at the election.
Sure, let's get into that. I didn't.
We view ourselves as.
Oh wait, no, I thought it was an ad.
And rejects from society. Don't pay these people any mind; they're crazy. We view ourselves as being the toys for Misfit Island. For anybody that remembers Rudolph, we are the.
That's an interesting way to describe QAnon, as the island of misfit toys.
Is that a reference to something?
Yeah, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. You don't know that?
Is that in the Rudolph fairy tales?
I don't know. Is there a legitimate fairy tale to Rudolph? I don't know. I mean, I'm just talking about like the old claymation movie.
I don't remember an island of misfit toys.
When's the last time you watched
It kind of like rings a bell, but
When's the last time you watched Rudolph?
a long time.
Because it's not a movie. Like, of all the Christmas, do you watch like Christmas specials every year, kind of person, or no?
I watched Wonder Woman 2 on Christmas last year.
How was it?
I was really high, so
Well, was there nice, like a lot of cool colors and stuff?
yeah.
Awesome. I actually do like watching Christmas movies around the Christmas time. Gets me in the spirit. My favorite is Home Alone.
Oh,
Yeah, I probably,
Okay.
I probably, that's one of the movies I've probably seen the most. Probably, I wouldn't call it my favorite movie, but it's probably one of those movies I've just seen so many times, because you watch it every year for Christmas if you're one of those kind of people.
okay. Do you watch Thanksgiving movies to get in the mood for Thanksgiving? Or
What Thanksgiving movies are there?
was it Planes, Trains, and Automobiles?
Oh,
right?
that is a great movie. I probably will watch that this year. That's a great movie.
That's the big one. I don't. There's probably a few more, but I can't think.
But
of
they're usually like
Thanksgiving.
travel movies because that's the whole idea. You travel to see your family, right? No.
You also have Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving.
That really gets you in the mood for.
Absolutely. Gobble, motherfucker. All right. Okay, so this guy sees himself as a misfit toy. Great.
Rejected toys that ultimately come in to help Santa save the day. Have you guys heard of Q?
There's somebody in.
It's almost like a religion, almost. Do you think?
It's like, have
I
you
was
heard?
when you asked me to describe it, I was gonna kind of call it a cult, but
Yeah.
I mean that was a little too basic for. I think QAnon. I think it's a little bit more than that.
It might be, but like, this
Can
just
we
here,
use an internet cult? Is that different?
internet cult. That's interesting. Before I even describe that, like the guy just said, like, have you heard the word of Q? Or he didn't say the word of Q, but he says, have you heard of Q? But just in the back of my head, I was just thinking like missionaries going like, have you heard the good word? And like,
Yeah.
have you heard the good word of Q?
I guess not.
It's almost religious.
Okay.
I would say cult. So my definition of cult is like you're not allowed to talk to anyone on the outside. That's my difference between religion and cult. Like if you're not allowed to talk to people outside of the religion, it's a cult.
Mm-hmm. You know how like you have movements? This seems more like a counter movement.
Counter movement. Like
Yeah,
it's
like
arising
a counter
as
protest.
well, what is a counter movement? That sounds like a movement that's in response to a different movement.
Yeah, like a counter protest.
What are they counter protesting?
The people that are countering the election of Trump, maybe. So it's like a counter protest.
Wait, aren't the Q people like pro-Trump though? Wait.
Yeah. So they're countering the people who are countering the presidency.
But wait. They're not. Okay, so the first group of people are protesting what?
That I guess the everything about Trump being president. So,
Like the people, but Trump's not president. What do you mean?
that's when they
You
started.
mean going back when this
Yeah.
all started? Like the people who
Yeah,
were
yeah.
saying like Trump's not the president, he's a Russian puppet, kind of thing.
Yeah.
I don't think of it as a counter protest because the people who were against Trump were against him because they thought he was a white supremacist or they thought he was a Russian puppet. QAnon people were saying, no, he's fighting the pedophiles, man. It doesn't like a counter protest would maybe be like if there was a large white supremacist or Russian pro-Russia uprising against the anti-Trump movement. Or do you think you don't think of anti-Trump as like pro-pedophilia, do you?
No.
Took a little second there, but yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out how to describe them.
The counter protest to me would be like, yeah, it's like it's in response to a different protest. And there was the anti-Trump protest, but there's a difference between QAnon and pro-Trump.
I'm trying to think of it as like a counter cult.
Counter cult.
Yeah.
It's in opposition to something. That's true. But the Jonestown cult, That was in opposition to stuff too.
I forget, what were they all about?
Racial communism. That's no joke. That's what they were all about. That's the
Okay.
Jonestown Massacre. What's his name? James Jones or Jim Jones? The guy who started it. He started himself as like a legitimate like Christian preacher, but then he started to preach for stuff that was completely unrelated to Christianity. He basically said there was a mass movement against minorities and that like they were anti-communist. The government was anti-communist, so they were oppressive to them. So that's why they fled to Guyana and killed themselves.
Okay, yeah, that's ringing a bell.
Uh-huh.
The thing about like cults is like if you like somehow make your way out of a cult, a lot of people they'll say they didn't like it and that it was hard to leave, but then they'll also like kind of admit like some of the best times of their life were within that cult.
That's what's the one girl who left Scientology talks about.
Oh, the actress.
The actress from King of Queens.
Leah Remini.
Yeah, exactly. She often, I've seen her on the Joe Rogan podcast, talked about how like she was brainwashed, but she also defends the Scientologists as saying like they legitimately are good people and they want good things.
Just the people at the top.
Yeah.
Isn't
I've often
it
thought that
always?
like leadership in general, like I had a conversation with a friend recently about this. Like he said, like, well, he was curious, like. We were talking about how, like, before Christianity, you had a lot of, like, far more sexual freedom. Like, Romans and Greeks were having sex orgies all the time. And I said, like, it's like...
Caligula.
Yeah, exactly. And I say, he just asked me, it's like, what stopped that time where everyone was just having sex with each other? I said, Christianity. Basically, that's what it was. And, like, I said, here's my point, is I don't think that the elites of any time period ever stopped doing the crazy sex stuff.
They just covered it up more and more.
Yeah, I always thought that it's more religion was always more for the masses and not for the elites.
The working class.
Sure, yeah, or peasants, if you go back to feudal days, or serfs or whatever. But yeah, exactly. I think religion is much more like believed by the masses rather than the elites. And I think, like, for instance, I look at Game of Thrones. You know, like there's that whole season where the Sparrow takes control because he says you guys are all hypocrites. You're running things. You're saying you believe the words, but you're all behind the scenes. You're doing all this shady shit.
And by taking control, he somehow, becomes
even worse.
Falls victim to even worse. Than,
well, he doesn't. But the thing is, he's not a hypocrite. Is what he's a fundamentalist. Is like that's the difference, you know. Like, if you take religion to the extreme and you're going to enforce religion to the extreme, you can be way worse than even, like, a bunch of crazed sex orgies elites who don't give up for terrible people, almost.
Who would you say is the most elite person, who would describe themselves as a QAnoner?
I think...
Marjorie Taylor Greene?
Maybe.
But I think she just kind of uses that to...
But I don't know enough about
votes.
Marjorie Taylor Greene to say one way or the other.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know enough about QAnon in general. Maybe we'll learn more about this video. And I know Marjorie Taylor Greene. I know about the Jew laser thing. Yeah. But other than that, I don't really know anything about her.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's learn a little bit more here.
Charge, and usually there's like a pedophile at some point.
Pedophile.
I don't want my kids to grow up in a communist nation.
Reasonable.
Basically slaves.
QAnon is an invitation to the Great Awakening.
That's kind of awesome.
We're going to be sympathetic in the end. We're going to be gracious winners.
The deep end.
Okay, so we were just in the shallow end.
They broke the glass. Everybody stay down. Get down.
Okay, I think he's
So
starting the protest.
Oh, I really hope we get an interview with Q Shaman.
He's in jail right now, isn't he?
I don't know. I mean, I think he was he was doing a hunger strike in the jail because they were giving him non-organic food.
Oh my goodness.
That was the last I heard of Q Shaman. So.
Yeah.
Even before a mob invaded the U.S. Capitol, we were living in a time of peak conspiracy.
I am convinced Trump actually won the election.
A huge portion of voters wrongly believed the 2020 election was stolen.
Okay.
They don't get to steal it from us.
But how exactly did we get here?
How did we get here?
The Joe Biden win probably means this is how we got here in this video. Or are we talking about how we got to Q?
I don't know. Well, what do you think is behind the growing distrust in our institutions?
A lack in accountability for people at the top.
Interesting. So do you think the internet has something, well, I mean, obviously the internet has something to do with it, but like, what do you think the internet's role in the rise of distrust is?
It's definitely like spreads a lot more information. Whether or not that's good information is,
Do you think we'd be better off if with a sort of a like a channel, like a, what would you say, kind of a bottleneck, only certain like news outlets are allowed to spread information?
Probably not. No, we don't want everything being NPR, right?
Well, I don't think it would be NPR. I think it would be probably, NBC, ABC, CBS, legacy media. Oh, NPR is legacy media too, but that's public.
Did you hear about that provision? I think in one of the drafts of the infrastructure bill that said they would give money to like local newspapers and local media.
I hadn't heard that.
Yeah, I don't know if it was part of the thing that just passed, but
wait, is that part of infrastructure newspapers? Wait, hold on. How is that
they're earmarks to the bills in order to get things passed?
It's called pork.
Pork?
No, it's called pork. When you basically like put some additional things into a bill, like that has nothing to do with the bill, it just inflates the cost of the bill. That's pork.
Okay. I've never heard that, but I see what you're saying.
It's like, let's say, like, we have to pass this healthcare bill. Okay, please explain to me how, like, $500 billion for green energy is healthcare. That's pork. That would be the example. It's just like, and that's like these like bills get like to be like 1,000 pages long, and then they say like, he's like, we got to pass it. He's like, we haven't had a chance to read it yet because it's 1,000 pages long. It's like, you'll figure it out.
Yeah, that was one of the provisions.
Interesting.
The big worry was, because these local, media newspapers would be taking money from the government, that they'd have to be subject to certain, I don't know, editorialship.
Well, that's a good point. But who qualifies for that? Any sort of local outlet? Like if Tina and Karen start the Tina and Karen
News Network.
Sure. And we put out a paper. We're a local publication. We just talk about Seattle and Tacoma-based politics and events and news. Do we get entitled some of that money? Come on, Tina, let's do it. Let's get some of that fucking pork.
Rig the system here. I think you have to have like a certain number of employees and you something like that.
I'm going to hire a bunch of bums at $1 an hour. Not an hour, sorry. $1 a year salary. Let's do the Jeff Bezos thing.
Oh, okay. There you go. I don't know if that was part of the bill that just passed, though.
Okay.
Have to follow into that.
If it's part of the infrastructure, I call that pork. If it's a separate thing, that's a whole nother thing, and that's interesting. We'd have to talk about that, and I would need a link, and we could do a deeper conversation about that.
Yeah, I mean, the idea is like a lot of these local newspapers are struggling a lot.
Yeah, because no one gives a shit anymore.
No one cares about local stuff.
That is a problem, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like most issues in this country have become nationalized. People don't care about local issues anymore. Except for the truck driver who just won in Buffalo. Congratulations.
The mayor?
No, like I think he won like a congressional seat.
Oh, did he?
It might have been New Jersey or something.
Okay.
But like a truck driver ran, and he basically had $150 for his campaign budget, and he spent 60 of that bucks on Dunkin' Donuts. And he beat the incumbent. He beat the incumbent. So.
All right.
Hey,
mad respect.
I basically, I've told you about this, but if I ever run for office, I'm just going to basically put a one-word like summary in what I plan to do if I get into that pamphlet, the voter pamphlet. It says, I pledge to bring about the purge.
Purge party.
Purge party. All right. So.
We got ponchos, 2 for $5.
In the months leading up to the 2020 presidential election, I went looking for answers at a Trump
I love that she's wearing a mask. She's probably already vaccinated by that point.
rally in a Florida retirement community.
Trump train! Let's get the Trump going on now. That's what I'm talking about. We need Trump. If we don't get Trump, y'all know what's in trouble. All right.
And he was right.
Amazing how much more marketable he is than other candidates.
Who?
Oh, Trump.
Oh, Trump's well loved.
Yeah, I mean, there's just so much merch behind it.
Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah. It's just, well, you don't see people wearing, like, I guess you did have like the Hillary Clinton, H thing with the arrow, and
do people actually wear that?
Biden had anything.
No, I don't think.
I've seen stickers.
I've seen a lot of Bernie shirts for one. But
Bernie was the last big marketable one.
Well, Trump too. Trump and Bernie both, because they're populists. Simple.
Yeah.
No one likes Hillary or Biden. Let's be clear about that. No one really likes these people.
Probably part of the reason why QAnon is a big thing is not a lot of people like them, but
Well, I think that the anti-establishment part of it.
Mm-hmm.
So. But of course, so when you can basically market your basic political movement as a movement, not just because you can't. So Biden and Hillary couldn't basically promise change when they've basically been in Washington for 50 years and nothing has changed.
Yeah.
Well, that's what, like with Bernie Sanders, he was an independent and he was always an outsider. And then Trump is definitely an outsider. You can market the idea that we're for change. Obama was a very marketable candidate. You saw a lot of Obama stuff with the bumper stickers and whatnot. I'm just saying because he was a relatively new politician. No one likes him.
He turned out to be just like the rest of the establishment.
Of course.
Made things worse in some aspects.
Well, I've said a lot of people, like if people who defend Obama, like if Obama was such a good president, how the fuck do you explain Trump? You don't basically go from
such a disparity to go from one to the other.
Well, no, it's almost the idea that like if people are enjoying the status quo, then why did you get such a radical person who basically says I want to blow up the status quo as your new leader? So that's my point. Like if Obama was basically a continuation of the status quo that continued with Bush and maybe Clinton, maybe not so much Clinton, but he sort of set the foundations for it, and the previous Bush, maybe even Reagan. This probably goes back way longer than we realize. It's just building.
Yeah.
And
it's the superstructure.
It's neoliberalism.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're so some people have falsely said we're at the end stage of capitalism. I don't think we are. I think we're at the end stage of neoliberalism, which is definitely different.
Some would say feudalism is just basically capitalism with liquidity.
That's not true. How would you describe feudalism?
You got like a king and their servants, right?
Serfs.
Land.
Yeah, they're bought and sold with the land.
Mm-hmm. Now you just give them a little bit of money.
Well, basically, you give them like the ability to invest their own capital, to actually market their own labor, versus serfs basically are owned to the land.
Yeah.
But that's different.
I mean, is it fundamentally different though?
Yeah.
I think you still have the people that own the landowners at the top.
Well, you're talking about hierarchy, but hierarchy is true throughout all of human history. There's no point in human civilization where we haven't had hierarchy.
Yeah, so it's just hierarchy with liquidity.
Well, capitalism has more freedom than feudalism. Like, could a serf basically buy a plot of land and start his own kingdom?
No.
Could a worker buy his own business and start his own business?
Yeah.
There you go.
That.
I think that's a major difference you're choosing not to acknowledge.
They didn't really have businesses, though, back in feudalism, though.
No, basically you just were promised a certain amount of food and, like, security if you basically served your lord properly. Yeah.
Yeah. Same with businesses.
But like I said, any worker who doesn't like his job can leave and start a business or go to another, like, another business.
Yeah, it's a certain amount of liquidity.
So
you can move back and forth.
But the thing is that liquidity actually makes it a completely different thing.
It doesn't change the people at the top.
Well, once again, you're talking about hierarchy.
Yeah.
Can you describe to me a time in human civilization where we haven't had hierarchy? Or could you envision a world without hierarchy, really?
I don't know. That's the big question. Like, that's the problem is a lot of people try to imagine the end of capitalism, right? And, like, how do you imagine that?
How do you imagine a world without hierarchy?
Well, like, and
private
people
property.
People are always talking about, oh, yeah, we got to end capitalism, but how realistically would that happen? Usually things kind of fester on for a while.
You could do it. You just have a lot of people starve.
But, you just,
It's been tried. And people have, don't get me wrong, people have definitely tried.
Yeah. Well,
to end capitalism. It just hasn't worked.
You gotta take it in like small little bits, right? Like change certain things over time, and then you could still call it capitalism, but it's not quite the same.
Well, do you ever think we'll ever live in a world without private property and hierarchy? Because that's essentially, capitalism is all about voluntary contracts and private property rights, essentially.
Mm-hmm. Some would say we wouldn't even have private property right now. The government can just, take what you have if they deem necessary.
Okay, yeah, you're right, absolutely. So maybe we should try to reinforce capitalism, not try to destroy it.
I'm not saying destroy. I'm like,
well, no, but you see what I'm saying, right? Because like you're saying, like, oh, who says we can have private property right now? Because the government can just come in and take your stuff. Yeah, that's socialism. You're right. You're describing how socialist governments can basically oppress people. You're right. Maybe we should actually try to reinforce capitalism.
Yeah, but if you reinforce that, you're not going to change the government by.
Well, sure you can. You just vote in the people who actually believe in the same values that you do.
Yeah, I'm really trying to imagine, like, if we were to get rid of capitalism, how would that look? What would that look like? What would you have to do over time?
Well,
it never happens in one broad stroke,
You're right. Well, could you do it over time? That's a bigger question. Maybe I need to refill my drink because that's actually something we could explore, which might be even more interesting than the video. But could you? But like, do you think that would? Why would you even want to do that? Is my guess. My question.
I think a lot of people would want it. They're very dissatisfied with where they are in life. They don't think that the government's really helping them. And so they're just in a cycle of, one job to another, not finding any sort of, just barely breaking even.
But how would socialism solve that?
Again, I'm not saying socialism would solve that. I'm just trying to, because the popular thing right now is we got to end capitalism, but I'm just
That's
trying
not
to
even
think
that popular, to be honest. It's popular in certain progressive cities across the country, but the vast majority of Americans are like, no, I like my life. I want to keep it more or less the same.
Yeah, I would say that's me.
Yeah. What?
I would say I'm in that category, yeah.
Well, you're a business owner, so you advocating for socialism is why don't you just give your workers part of your company? They probably already have it, right?
Well, it happened with me, could happen with others. What happened with me could happen with others, yeah.
Well, don't you think you had earned that position?
I'm not entitled to it.
I used to work there. Should I get a part of it?
Well,
Anyways,
yeah.
but okay, hold on. This is actually a good conversation. So people do feel dissatisfied, but why do you think they feel dissatisfied?
I don't know, because their parents barely made any money, their grandparents barely made any money. They can't seem to get out of this loophole of, I don't know, like debt and economic freedom.
But the United States has the highest incomes in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we have what?
I mean, yeah, because the people at the top, there's so much disparity.
Okay, but see, I'm one of the people who don't really care too much about income inequality. I understand it's a problem, but not for the same reasons I think you are. You probably believe it's a problem. I think it's a problem because the more inequality and the more people stack up at the bottom, the more they're likely to just move towards a revolution. But that will lead to probably worse things than just basically if they just tread water where they're at. But as far as income inequality, I'd rather eradicate poverty than inequality because let's put it this way: if I could double the amount of wealth in the world, your amount of income, everything you own would double. Jeff Bezos' amount of income would double. Would you be pissed?
Yeah.
Why? You're twice as rich as you are now.
Well, then, prices would change too.
No. I'm not talking about inflation. I'm saying, let's imagine we can increase the amount of productivity and all the amount of wealth in the world by double. Not just by printing more currency, but let's say, in theory, I could double your buying power right now. But at the same time, Jeff Bezos' buying power will double. Would you care?
Yeah, because that would change the market.
It's a hypothetical question. I don't understand what you're saying. You're saying, if you double the supply of money, it doesn't actually increase the supply of goods. I am saying, what if we could double the supply of goods and keep demand where it's at right now? You'd be twice as rich as you are now. But
okay, so you're saying double the supply.
This is actually not you're probably giving it too high of level. It's a very simple question. If you made twice as much as you did now, would you care that Jeff Bezos is twice as rich as he is now?
Yes.
Why?
Because everyone else would be twice. There'd be no difference.
Okay, good. There'd be less food scarcity, less demand in terms of
But that's assuming the cost of goods is the same. The demand is still.
I think you're still not understanding the hypothetical I'm proposing. I'm not saying just print more money and give everyone twice as much money, because that would create inflation. True. Mm-hmm. I'm saying, let's say we could double the amount of productivity right now. So there's twice as many products, there's twice as many services out there, and there's the same population.
Okay, there's twice as many products, there's twice as many services, people are making twice as much money.
And you have the buying power of twice as much as you do now, because there's more products and services for you to buy.
Okay.
There's twice as much food. We just take
like 100 apples for 100 people. Now there's 200 apples for 100 people. Everyone gets 2 apples. Well, not necessarily, but everyone basically could, in theory, eat twice as much.
Well, why wouldn't the people with a little bit more money want to take over the production of those things, or, ramp them down?
But it doesn't matter if you're getting fed twice as much as you could before. So if Jeff Bezos basically says, oh, this is a huge chance for a higher market share, I could basically make a lot more money than I am now, but you would be eating twice as much, you'd be consuming as much products twice as much, why would you care that Bezos is getting richer if your life is getting twice as good as it is now? Basically, my question is, what matters more, poverty or inequality?
I mean, yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I just don't see that happening.
It's a thought experiment. It's not about like whether it could happen or not. It's my question is, what would you rather see happen? Poverty reduced or inequality reduced?
Poverty or inequality?
Oh, wow. That's interesting. This is actually really interesting.
Yeah. I'm trying to think, like, if we were all just poor.
We'd all be in poverty.
Yeah. But would we be happier? That's a good question.
I don't know. I don't think people would like to see their kids starve to death.
That's extreme poverty.
Yeah, that's what I mean, poverty.
Hmm.
You're right. America's impoverished are far wealthier than a lot of other countries impoverished. It's almost as if America's capitalist system is more beneficial to more people. Huh? Right? If you're poor in Venezuela versus poor in... if you're poor in Africa without property rights, yeah, you're way worse.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's almost as if it's good to have property rights.
Yeah, it is, to an extent.
Oh?
I probably would say I would like people more, there be more equality than poverty, yeah.
Interesting. So, inequality, it's better to do away with inequality. If everyone's poor, but we're like all poor together, it's better than if we just did away with poverty.
Yeah, because inevitably it would, I think things would work out.
Interesting. All right. Hey, I got to get another drink.
Okay.
Let's and we're back.
Hey.
Hey, that was a good conversation. We can continue with the video?
Yeah, I was just thinking, just one more point on that
Sure,
one was, I think if it did eliminate poverty and made, allowed inequality, but no poor people, it does lead to these power structures that it will be inevitable, and then that would everything would go back to normal again. So,
well, that's what That's what I said. I think I started by saying like I don't care as much about inequality as I care about eradicating poverty, but I don't ignore that inequality is a problem. Like, that's the thing about the left and the right. The left has no good solutions to inequality, and the right just don't care.
Yeah.
Right. So, but like, inequality is a problem because the more people who stack up at the bottom, doesn't matter what conditions their life are, because it's all about relativity. People compare themselves to others. So, if everyone's stacked up at the bottom, it's more likely to create social unrest and the likelihood of a revolution. And then lots of things go bad. So I agree with you on that. Like, it's not so much that, like, okay, so look, we could do away with poverty tomorrow. No one is lacking in food. No one is lacking in shelter. No one is lacking in like goods and services. But they still feel like their lives have no power over their lives. Basically, they're just like a lot of like this unemployment thing that we've had a lot for the last like year and a half. Is people are just staying at home, feeling completely meaningless and purposeless, and they're just treading water and just like, okay, I'm playing video games all day, I'm smoking weed, and I'm eating junk food, so I guess this is by the Huxley version of a utopia, but my life is terrible. I want more I want more meaning and purpose and control in my life, right? So I agree with you in that. I just don't think that, like, eradicating the material hardships of life is more important to me than eradicating more spiritual, social elements of life.
I think it would be easier to eradicate poverty than inequality.
Yeah, we're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's producing a lot of inequality. Is that the thing? Like, poverty, the levels of acute poverty in the world are down by 70% since 1990. Like, that's better than any UN projection had. It's like we're now basically 70% of people are living in out of poverty, like real poverty, like starvation level poverty, than they were in 1990. But Bezos is richer than he's ever been, and he's a fucking like Dr. Evil kind of megalomaniac. Can't say megalomaniac, and I think that's one thing that everyone agrees on. Sadly, is that everyone agrees Bezos is an evil person, but it doesn't matter because we all buy up. Well, I'll shop on Amazon.
I know. Getting rid of poverty, right? But a lot of these people have to work like 3 jobs and like massive number of hours to get out of, that situation, right?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
No, the amount of hours worked by people is less than ever before in human history. It's true. People used to have to work basically 12-hour days to survive.
Mm-hmm.
Now people...
Yeah, to get by with just the basic needs, right?
So I'll explain Marxism in 2 sentences. A starving child in the city is more emotional than an unmarked grave in the countryside. Meaning that if the kid if there is no capitalism, the kid would have just starved to death working a farm, and they would have buried him in an unmarked grave. But because capitalism industrializes and basically people's lives get better, it doesn't get better as fast as they would like it to. What you have is a transitionary phase in which a child is starving in the streets of a city, but hungry. Let's say hungry, not starving. Starving is death. But like he's not dying. Not dying is objectively better than dying.
Not dying is objectively better than dying.
Yes, a hungry child in the street is much more sympathetic than an unmarked grave in a country field.
Yeah, you'd have to repeat it several times to actually think about it. But
yeah. But like, if you see a kid like on the streets and he's hungry, he's begging for food, that has much more impact on you, and you think that the world is a terrible place. But like, let's imagine that city didn't exist. Let's imagine industry didn't exist. What would that kid be? He'd probably be working a farm somewhere, and he'd probably starve to death. He'd be in an unmarked grave. You never see it.
Mm-hmm. My mind just keeps going to this one philosopher guy that I had heard about. I can't remember his name, but he was like a Marxist at some university over in New York or Massachusetts, somewhere over there.
I wouldn't think anything less.
Yeah, but then he did this complete flip. And he became pro-authoritarian, and he said he basically moved over to China and said the CCP is doing it right, and that.
Wait, how does Marxism not lead to authoritarianism?
How does capitalism not lead to authoritarianism?
Literally, because it gives people the right to own property. You have the freedom to own property. You can
same with Marxism. If it's
you don't have the right to own property.
Reality,
you don't have the right to own property in Marxism.
Well,
but I understand
that's not
what
I'm saying. I'm saying if capitalism was if things actually performed like they theoretically should in capitalism, same with Marxism.
True. Well, okay, that's a good point. So capitalism in theory leads to pure freedom. Marxism, in theory, I don't think leads to pure freedom because you'd have to believe basically against individual rights. There's no way you can mesh those two philosophies. So basically, I think that Marxism believes that we're going to live in a stateless world.
Yeah.
And that means we live in an anarcho-capitalist world where there is no government. Everyone basically is free to sell and trade whatever good and service they can provide. And that's where we're at. The idea that like we're going to have collective ownership over the means of production. How do you achieve that without a state?
I always thought it was just interesting this guy like completely flipped and became like a neo-authoritarian.
Well, that's the thing. I don't think that I think Marxism actually proves that it leads to authoritarianism in every single case. Soviet Russia, Cuba, Venezuela, China, most of Eastern Europe, Vietnam, Cambodia, every single time. The freest countries in the world are capitalist countries. Western Europe and North America. And to a lesser extent, East Asia.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not even comparable.
Yeah.
So you acknowledge that the freest countries in the world are all free market countries, capitalist countries. And yet somehow you think that Marxism is going to lead towards more freedom, even though we just acknowledged all the countries that embrace Marxist theories end up in authoritarian dictatorships.
I'm trying to figure what we're talking about right now.
We've been more or less talking about capitalism versus socialism for the last 30 minutes.
Yeah. Well,
which we were supposed to be talking about QAnon, which is fun.
I'm just trying to go like from to different like facts that I keep hearing about, not trying to get in the theory.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were going to go somewhere with that.
No.
No, it's interesting, and I tend to think that like people who embrace leftism in general, Marx in like specific, but like that whole philosophy. George Orwell was a leftist. I love George Orwell, but I think he was an actual socialist, not a. But what I mean by actual socialist is I think he genuinely believed in it rather than like Bernie Sanders. I think Bernie Sanders genuinely believes in socialism. But that doesn't mean that socialism is ideal. Like George Orwell in his book Road to Wigan Pier, he spent time living with the coal miners in northern England. He spent time actually seeing the hardships of these people's lives. And then the second half of the book, he travels down and he joins the Socialist Party of England. And what he found was the people running the party didn't exactly like the poor. They just hated the rich.
Yeah, that's the problem. Is like when they actually get into power, then they still have like no sympathy for the poor.
They still don't because they don't really care. So like
it's been a fundamental problem with some of those movements, from what I understand.
Right. No, you're absolutely right because like
as soon as they get get what they want and their needs met, then it just becomes a new form of authoritarianism.
Right. There is no great way to be free. Freedom is the outlier, not the norm of human history. Like the vast majority of human history, it's always been dictators, either by like royal bloodline or by conquering. But there's been no place in human history where you haven't had dictatorships. I'd say that the closest we've gotten to people being free is places like America, places like Europe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Still not ideal, but
but that's the thing. You're comparing you basically say like America is a disappointment because it's not perfect. Like it's the best place in human history. No one disagrees with that, I hope. But it's not the utopia that you have in your head.
Definitely not. No.
Right. But you do acknowledge it's the best place in human history.
I'm trying to think if I can think of a better place.
I don't think you will be able to.
I don't know. I really haven't traveled outside of America.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What country do you think might be better?
A lot of people said America, like when it was first established in like a federalist form, but
Oh, I agree. But that's more going back to old school liberalism and opposed to socialism.
yeah, where the states' rights mattered much more than the federal government.
I do like the federalist model, though, the basic idea that, like, let's basically just have all these different tiny experiments of democracy and let every state govern itself, but people can move about where they want to. And that will more or less mean everyone gets the best life they want, right? Because like if you're not happy in Oregon, you can move to Washington, and Washington has a completely different way of doing things. Or if you're not happy in Washington, you can move to Idaho, and Idaho has a completely different way of doing things, sort of thing.
Yeah, I was reading this book called like the Founders Coup a while ago because the initial federal government had a hard time setting up government and collecting taxes, and so they had to like kind of I don't know.
Well,
they had to convene and not secret, but I don't know.
During the early stages of America, most of the federal government's income was on tariffs, wasn't it? There was no tax. There was no federal taxes, really. I'm saying that the federal government in the early stages of the republic, sounds cool to say it like that, most of their income was through tariffs, not through taxes. Which tariffs are tax anyways, but fuck it.
Yeah, I mean, and yeah, there would be interesting, like different tariffs, like other states would place on each other, which were completely ridiculous.
No, it's not actually that ridiculous. It's interstate commerce. So that was like the.
Well, it seems ridiculous in today's modern context.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But like back at the beginning of the United States, the idea was that the states were more or less self-governed, that they weren't one united. Like, it wasn't until probably Lincoln that states started to see themselves as more than just, I don't know, a loose collection of people who generally agree on the idea that people should be free and equal. But, yeah, no, that's actually a good story about Robert E. Lee. Because, like, Robert E. Lee was not, the generalissimo, I want to say, of the Confederacy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was not a proponent of secession. He was starchly against it.
He was a Virginian at heart.
Exactly. So but he basically said he had a duty to Virginia, and Virginia voted to secede, so he agreed to be the general of the Confederacy, even though in his heart he basically did not agree with the idea of the Confederacy. He didn't like secession.
Yeah, and I think the whole idea was behind the initial federal government push before it was the Articles of. They had some document before the
Articles of Confederation.
Yeah.
And that got trumped by the Constitution.
Yeah, but the whole idea was that they had a massive war debt to France. I think
Fuck
that
France.
they couldn't really collect taxes and pay for.
They just didn't care.
Yeah.
Which led to the French Revolution. No, it's it's very funny. Like the whole American Revolution basically started because Americans didn't want to pay taxes to Britain for funding a war against the French, and then the French basically got their money back by basically fighting the British with the Americans, but the Americans said, I don't want to pay the French either.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny that way. So the British basically say, hey, we fought a war for you. You should pay us. Fuck no. Americans saved the French, and then the French said, hey, we fought a war for you guys. You should pay us. Fuck no. I find that funny.
It is. I mean, no one wants to pay the money that they get loaned.
No.
But yeah. But I mean, a lot of people think that that's like a more ideal sort of society.
A federalist society is more of an ideal. The idea that you could freely move to the place where you think fits best for you. not in terms of geography, like in terms of climate or like I don't know, whatever like that, but like literally like, hey, this government kind of agrees with my basic values. I want to live there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that is a really good society. I wish we can go back to that society, but the federal government is too powerful.
The idea of like nationalism is a kind of interesting concept.
By the way, we're way off track from QAnon.
Oh yeah,
And
I gave up on that.
Yeah, and it's 7:55
45 minutes ago.
Oh yeah, because like we were supposed to review this video, and I don't have all that much time to review the video. So
We're 2 minutes in.
yeah, we're fucking.
I haven't learned anything.
We haven't learned anything about QAnon, but it's been an interesting conversation.
Yeah, I mean, if we really want to dive to why we started talking about everything, was like how do like these kind of like cultish things pop up?
I think QAnon stems from a legitimate distrust in the institutions, and that's because the institutions had done a lot to basically lose people's trust over the years.
Yeah, so there has to be someone on the inside, with.
I don't know if that any of that's true. I don't think it is. The idea that Q is a real person, I think Q is just some fucking internet troll.
But it is a way to exploit people who are disillusioned, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
But like it wouldn't have worked if people fundamentally basically just trusted their government and trusted their society. It's like this Q says, dude, it's all pedophiles, man. And then like the American people who read that is like, oh yeah, right, trust. No, they wanted to believe is basically.
I know, yeah. There's a lot of things I want to believe, like aliens, but
well, aliens are real. So are the pedophiles, for that matter.
Yeah.
I just don't think they're drinking baby's blood.
Adrenochrome.
Yeah, adrenochrome. Dude, it's like if this stuff worked, why don't they just make commercials for it?
Do you know any QAnoners personally?
I know some
myself.
very I know some people who are very, very, very against the establishment and very much pro-Trump, but I don't think I know anyone. Well, it's really, I don't know what you define as QAnon, really, because if it's basically just thinking, like, there's a lot of elite people who are secretly pedophiles, then yeah, I know a lot of people like that. But is it the whole thing that they're drinking baby's blood and that Q is a secret insider who's giving them information? I don't know anyone like that.
I think a lot of people say Q kind of starts up from, the old kind of Jewish conspiracy,
Oh, really? How so?
It just kind of like follows the same lines of like
There's
hating the people with a lot of money,
What was that?
Well, like the Jewish people, they were like the bankers and, in this.
Do you want to know why that is?
Actually, yeah, remind me.
So like I don't know why. I'd have to look further into this. But when the Jews migrated into Europe, banking as an industry was considered, you weren't supposed to do it. Good Christians weren't supposed to be bankers.
Oh yeah, you weren't supposed to take on debt, right?
Yeah. And
but they're Jews, so.
But like Jews basically like had no moral scruples against it. So basically,
they're not Christians. Yeah.
Yeah, they're not Christians. So basically, they created a whole separate system within Europe, opposed to all the Christians, and not opposed to all the Christians, but like alongside what you would say. And so because of that, there's a theory, just basically because Jews were running the banking industry for so long. Yeah. That's how they got the old stereo. But remind me, how does QAnon relate to Jewish conspiracies?
It's just the people with the money at the top. It's the same kind of. There must be some like They must be like evil worshipping people, because that's what they like thought of the Jews, is they were kind of like these, I don't know, weirdish,
I just don't see the relation. Just the idea that there's a group of people at the top who are evil, who are running things.
They're implicitly evil because they're at the top.
Well, no, they're implicit. Not that they're implicitly evil. Like they are legitimately evil, and they're at the top and they're running things. But like there's the idea that all those people are Jews, and they're running things, or there's just the idea that it doesn't matter what they are, There's still the elites and they're running things.
Yeah, and it comes from the same vein.
You really? I don't see those conspiracies as related. I mean, yes, it's a belief that there's an elite group of people running things, but trying to equate that to like the Jewish conspiracies, I mean, I understand that. I see the connection. But
I wish I knew more specific things about the old conspiracies.
Well, let me ask you something. Like, is the idea that the Masons are running things a Jewish conspiracy? Because it's the same sort of thing.
But it was like that Masons go back to the what starts with an I, the Illuminati, right?
Yeah, Illuminati. Is that a Jewish conspiracy?
No, that comes from...
But it's the same idea, right? It's the idea that there's an elite group of people who are secretly running things.
And that kind of ties in, like, oh, the Illuminati are, behind, like, the Rothschilds and all that.
Right, but that's the idea. Like, if you want to basically say any conspiracy that there's an elite group of people running things is akin to the Jewish conspiracy or the Jew question or whatever you want to say, I don't see that the case because most conspiracies are going to basically be based
around... Most conspiracies aren't against poor people.
No, most conspiracies are with the idea that there are people running things behind the scenes.
Yeah, I mean, it's always people at the top who have some access that are hiding things, right?
Exactly. That's the whole idea of a conspiracy, that you're like basically conspiring. You're working together against people secretly. Mm-hmm. So I don't get the Jew relation. I understand what you're trying to do.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just going off of stuff I heard. I was wondering if you knew anything more about that.
Like I said, I didn't know about QAnon before you and Jeremy filled me in. And then
you haven't heard anything? I mean, you heard of it. You didn't know anything.
You didn't know about Let's Go Brandon until I told you.
It's true, yes.
So it just goes both. It just goes both ways. I listen to right-wing media, you listen to left-wing media, so therefore, like, you're going to hear about things before I do, about crazy stuff that's going on the right, and then I'm going to hear about crazy stuff going on the left before you do, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe I need another drink.
What do you think about, like, 9 in 10 people believe in conspiracy theories?
I believe in conspiracy theories, so fuck it. I'm glad.
Well, I guess we're part of the 9 of 10.
Do you believe in conspiracy theories? We're going to get into that in a second. All right, hold on. Another pause. Need another drink.
All right. Hey, that was quick.
Yeah, I know.
Hey, are you opening up that beer I gave you for the your birthday?
Not tonight. No, I've been drinking. I'll save it for like New Year's. I'll bring it with us to Houston. Yeah, we'll do it. We'll have fun.
All right.
But sorry for any of our viewers who are really hoping we'd get into the video. But Tina and I are enjoying this conversation without watching the video. Okay, so about conspiracy theories. What do you define as a conspiracy theory? Is aliens a conspiracy theory?
I think that's more like a concept. I mean, yeah, it's aliens are just another human being. It's whether the people or states or governments have been hiding them from us.
That would be the conspiracy, yeah. So do you believe that? Yeah. Okay, so would you believe that aliens... It doesn't matter if they exist or not, but do you believe that... Well, actually, it would. Do you think that the government is hiding up aliens? They know about aliens and they just don't tell us.
I think if they did know, they wouldn't tell us.
You know what? We're abandoning this video. I'm going to find like the top conspiracy theories and we're going to go through them.
Okay.
We're just fucking...
Well, no, top conspiracy theories 2021.
Okay. Well, I mean, I don't want it specific to 2021 also. I want like crazy conspiracies that people actually believe. Okay, 9 of the most popular conspiracy theories in recent history. Let's do that one. All right, let's hear what... Oh my goodness, no.
Hey. Yeah.
Oh, this is going to be about the Queen actually killed Princess Diana. All right.
Yes.
Oh, do you believe the Holocaust is made up? Don't laugh. Just answer. It's an easy question, really. I think this one might be the easier one.
Okay. No, I don't believe
Okay.
it was made up.
Between 1941 and 1945, 6 million Jews were killed across Europe in a horrific genocide led by Nazi dictator Adolf Hitler. Despite the fact that the Holocaust is one of the best documented events in history, there are swaths of the population that don't believe it happened, or they believe the death toll has been enormously inflated. One 2014 survey coordinated by the Anti-Defamation League, that's a bullshit league, of more than 53,000 people across 100 countries found that only 30% of respondents thought historical accounts of the Holocaust were... Wow. But I also don't think the Anti-Defamation League is a legitimate source. But 70% of people believe that the Holocaust is either non-existent or exaggerated. Do you think that's too high?
30% of respondents from 100 countries?
Right, 100 countries. Only 30% of respondents thought historical accounts of the Holocaust were accurate. That might be one of those kind of like numbers that's really misleading.
I could see maybe like the Russians have like a different narrative, maybe.
I feel like the Russians' narrative would be worse.
Russian people.
They'd probably make it sound worse.
It is surprising that 30% of people didn't think they were accurate.
Hold up. This, without further context, this statistic means very little. For one, I don't trust the source, but like, let's say that like, so about 12 million people were killed in the Holocaust, 11 million, I think 6 million Jews and 5 million others. Like, what if the question was phrased like, do you think that the Nazi documents of how many people were killed were completely accurate, or did they hide some?
Weren't they like notorious, like they kept notorious notebooks of like stats and stuff?
They were Germans. Germans are incredibly meticulous people. They would definitely document everything.
Like one of the sad and interesting things about like all the ways that they did like end up torturing the Jews was that they kept like the
records.
Well, yeah, was it that one specific guy? I can't remember his name.
Mengele.
Sure,
Joseph
yeah,
Mengele.
that doctor.
Yep. But he was a scientist, and he basically did a lot of horrible experiments on human beings to test the limits of what human beings were capable of.
Mm-hmm.
And there was
nothing that you would ethically do these days, but because he did it, we do have that sort of information.
Well, yeah, exactly. There was a huge like controversy of ethics in terms of after World War II, where people question like, should we like consider the studies of Mengele because like
we can't replicate them ethically.
We can't ethically ever replicate these experiments, so should we at least consider his findings? Yeah. So that was the huge joke. The Nazis were incredibly scientific people, but they were also very evil. And the sad part is that Nazis infiltrated much of the United States government following World War II.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah, because after
we took a lot of them because they knew a lot of stuff.
Oh, dude, they were like fucking lottery winnings. Like because basically the whole thought was like, if we don't steal these people, then the Soviets will. And basically there became this huge like grab bag of trying to get as many Nazi scientists and Nazis as you could. It's incredibly evil, but if you're basically in a giant war with another country where you feel like, okay, let's say Nazis were like a prize. They were like, would you want basically your enemy to take them, or would you rather you have them?
Yeah, well, kind of like when the USSR broke up, they got a whole bunch of like different like aircraft and machines and everything they wanted to unload. And
all right, so we both
should we be taking these things? No, but we don't want the other people to have them.
Exactly, that's what it's all about. War is all about like just like you got to be one step ahead of your enemy, even if it means like you're well, not so much mutually assured destruction. But okay, we both basically say that one's a fake. Not it's fake. It's bullshit. The Holocaust always happened. The CIA had a hand in JFK's assassination. Yes, I agree too. No, we do. Okay, so one of two so far. Lee Harvey Oswald was arrested on November 22nd, 1963 for assassinating President John F. Kennedy that same day in Dallas, Texas. 2 days later, while being transported to local jail, Oswald was shot and killed by Jack Ruby, a Texas nightclub owner. This shocking set of events was ripe for conspiracies from the start. Not only was a handsome, popular president... Oh my God. They had to say handsome, didn't they? Fatally shot in broad daylight, the accused assassin was killed days later, inviting speculation about the cover-up. Yeah, so we both agree the CIA definitely had a role to play in the assassination.
But why?
I think it has something to do with Kennedy's weakening stance on Cuba. Like he was when Kennedy was elected, he was he was a hardcore Cold Warrior, and as he got later into his presidency, he started to basically not be sympathetic to communism, but basically say we're not going to oust the Castro regime this way. And the CIA basically, I feel like, had a lot.
Didn't they perform the Bay of? I can see that had the Bay of Pigs, thing there. I've heard.
Let's talk about all right here. Okay, wait.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of different theories. One popular theory is the CIA killed JFK in retaliation for the failed Bay of Pigs invasion. Yes, exactly. That's what my main theory is.
I've heard theories that it's because he was against going into Vietnam.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It was against going into Vietnam.
I'm pretty sure he was against going into Vietnam, sending Americans over there.
Didn't he start the war? Or was that Johnson? All right, hold up. Well, I think Johnson escalated it, but who started the war? So Vietnam War.
Was it JFK? Yeah.
I think it was JFK of Vietnam War years. Okay. Started in 1955. No, wait, that can't be right. It was in the 60s. Who started?
Well, yeah, the Vietnam, between the North and South Vietnamese, probably.
Which oh, it was Eisenhower.
Yeah.
Huh. I thought that it started in like 62. Interesting. So he was probably going to pull out of Vietnam?
I think he just didn't want to stay or go to Vietnam.
Well, they were already there, though, apparently, because Eisenhower started the war in 2019.
Yeah.
No.
The second Vietnamese War.
Wait,
hold on. Go back.
Yeah.
The major initiative was the Vietnam War.
Who was the president?
In 1968, they had...
Oh, wait, no, hold up. Here we go. Was the president at the start of the Vietnam War? Well, yeah, that means that maybe Vietnam was having a civil war, but who? Johnson, Foreign Affairs, the major initiative. Shoot, this should be an easier question.
Mm-hmm.
Which U.S. president started the Vietnam War? Yeah, it was Johnson.
Okay.
President John F. Kennedy also escalated U.S. involvement in the war. The U.S. war in Vietnam officially began in 1964. So that's a quick Google search. Kennedy was escalating U.S. involvement in the war, but that's all based on the Truman Doctrine.
But yeah, he may not have been sold and actually starting the conflict, and from what I heard, that's part of why they wanted to get rid of him.
Yeah. We got to get.
And it's not too hard to believe either scenario, because the CIA had their hand in plenty of malicious,
All right, let's.
Plots going on.
The moon landing was. We got to get through these really quick because I'm running out of time. The moon landing was fake.
No.
Neither one of us is this. Okay, so we're so far 1 of 3.
Yeah.
Princess
Pretty popular
Diana's
one,
death
though, until like 10 years ago.
Princess Diana's death was no accident.
I think she was killed.
I have no strong opinions about this one.
It seems like a petty thing they would do.
I would actually agree that she probably was killed. I know that like Elizabeth did not like her at all.
I think they even had a hand in getting Epstein killed.
Because Prince Charles is a pedophile?
Yeah.
Okay, good. 9/11 was an inside job. I kind of more or less agree with this one.
I
Do you think that the U.S. government had a hand in 9/11?
Definitely. I think it's because of the U.S. government 9/11 happened.
No. Well, I mean...
They never trained Osama bin Laden in the Afghanistan war.
That's a horrible thing to say, just because like we basically trained a lot of insurgents all across the world because we were fighting the Soviets. It wasn't like we expected like Osama bin Laden to attack us.
Yeah.
I instead basically think it was the United States government knew the attack was happening. They had no part of the planning of the attack, but they knew it was going to happen, and they didn't prevent it because they wanted to go to war with the Middle East. They wanted to invade Iraq. I don't know how you get to an invasion of Iraq from.
Yeah, wasn't Bush warned of something early on? Yeah.
Because there was already an attack on on the World Trade Center during the Clinton years.
Yeah.
So, I don't think it's a matter of just like they trained Osama bin Laden and they knew he was going to attack the United States. Because, like I said, we basically trained a lot of rebel groups across the world to fight the Soviets and communists. We didn't know that Osama bin Laden would turn out to be an anti-American terrorist. I think there was a lot of ignorance back then. But I also think that like 9/11 was an inside job in the sense that like
we let it happen.
They let it happen.
Okay. I never heard that tape.
Well, I think there was also the same take for Pearl Harbor. I think there was a lot of warning about Pearl Harbor and not Eisenhower.
I've heard
Roosevelt.
that there was a general that warned of it. Yeah.
Yeah, and Roosevelt didn't stop it. He could have.
Yeah, I've heard that.
So.
Well, Gulf of Tonkin, that was an actual false flag, wasn't it? That's what got us into Vietnam.
So it says George W. Bush did 9/11, or at least he knew it and let it happen. Yeah, because the administration wanted to go to war with Afghanistan and Iraq for a while. Yeah, that's what I thought. Mass shootings like Sandy Hook were false flags. I don't believe.
No.
I don't agree with that one at all.
Yeah, that one's pretty out there.
Oh, here we go. QAnon.
Hey.
Top Democrats are behind a child sex ring.
I heard about that pizzeria, Comet Ping Pong.
I do remember that. Hold up now. Hold up. What do you think of cuties?
Back to the... I've never seen it. I know we've had discussions about it.
Oh, we have. It's fucked up.
Yeah, we've talked about artistic license.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, I remember the anecdote about cuties is basically the guy interviewed like 100 child actors before he selected the main actress, and what he had them do was dance in front of him. Like maybe let's say that that 100th girl was the best one. He watched.
Wasn't it a woman that directed it though?
Is it the casting director? Okay, let's look this up.
I don't know about the casting, but the director.
Yeah, not worried about it now. It's fucking pedophile garbage. Hey, look, 3.2 stars out. Okay, we apparently know that.
Pretty low. That's almost B-rated movie low.
Well, there's enough fucking pedophiles out there to vote it a 3.2. I'll give you that. Oh my god, look at that. God damn that film. I hate that film.
Would you ever watch it?
I never watched it because I don't. Because I had a friend of mine watched it, and he said, "Don't watch it. It's so creepy." He said he felt really uncomfortable watching, and I better spend my time.
What if they could just allow like
midgets,
15-year-old girls and younger to watch it?
What?
What if they like gated it so that only certain ages could watch it? I don't think it's possible, but
I don't think there's any benefit in sexualizing kids. Even if it's only the 15-year-olds who are going to watch it.
Yeah. Okay, I see what you're saying.
All right. We're not getting into a cuties thing. Do you think that there is a child sex ring going on?
Yes.
Yes. Do you think that the top-ranking Democrats are behind it?
No, I don't know about that, but yeah, so far it would lean that way.
Yeah, it does seem that way. Okay, you're a QAnon. Hey, I met my first QAnon supporter.
Hey, well, I don't think they're eating babies.
That part's true. Like I said, when I first heard of QAnon, I heard it was a bunch of pedophiles and Satanists are running the government. I said, yeah, that sounds about right. But then the whole adrenochrome or
that wing of it.
Yeah, the drinking baby's blood. I don't know, but that's a little bit crazy. The Earth is actually flat, right? No.
That's a big no.
Moving on. COVID is population control. This is opening.
That would be interesting.
This is opening up a can of worms.
Implant. Oh, this goes the microchip route.
You don't need to believe in microchips. This thing right here is a microchip.
It is.
It's silly that people think that they need to microchip you in order to track you. You're carrying a tracker everywhere you go.
Isn't that the irony? Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think it's population control.
No.
I think
People
COVID-19
definitely use it to their advantage. That's for sure.
I think COVID-19 is a giant power grab. It's not population control.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they people use it tragic or.
Yeah, did you hear about how Pfizer basically came up with a therapeutic that is as effective as the vaccine?
They did that, and even before, was it like Merck that had another pill that was
a Merck? Sorry, I thought you were
yeah, it was a different sort of pill.
But either way, basically
The whole vaccine mandates and how they're, I don't want to get into that because it's going to piss me off.
What was it? Don't let a good.
You can never let a good.
you can never let a good.
Not tragedy. Was it?
Never let a.
I think it's tragedy. Never let a good tragedy go to waste.
Something like that. Yeah.
That's a horrible thing to say.
It's true though, isn't it? It's what people do.
It's very true. No. People don't even think long term. They basically just think like there's a problem. It's the government's job to solve it, and then they lose their freedoms and they don't even question it.
Mm-hmm.
It pisses me off. It's a long thing.
The bigger conspiracy right now wouldn't be if it was from a lab or not.
Oh, dude, it's from a lab. Is there? Are
There's
people still not
people that
questioning?
argue that it came from a bat.
Oh my god. Are they still talking about that? This is.
Is this just? I mean.
Oh god, this pisses me off so much that people still don't like walking around thinking that this is just a freak occurrence. No, it's a lab leak. We got ample evidence to the gain of function research. Jon Stewart went on Stephen Colbert's show and basically said, like, you guys are all crazy because you're basically denying the lab leak theory. Yeah, Trump said it, so therefore it's not true. It's fucking true.
There's still people arguing again for the bat.
God damn it.
I mean,
that upsets me.
does it really matter though? Like if it came from a bat or a lab?
It does actually.
How much does it matter?
If the U.S. government was funding the virology lab in which we created a virus that basically destroyed the economy and gave the government huge power, then yes, it matters.
It was funded by.
It was funded by the National.
In part by the U.S.
The National Institute of Health was funding the Wuhan virology lab. Yes.
Yeah.
To do gain-of-function research, in which Fauci lied under oath that he was not funding gain-of-function research, and this is the part that pisses me off. This will make me happy for a second. This will make me very happy to see this for a second. Just a quick second.
Tomatoes.
Yep. The Fauci documentary. This will make me very happy. All right. 88% of critics liked it. 2% of audience liked it.
What?
Anyone? Well, this is the thing. Anyone who still gives this guy the benefit of the doubt is fucking a moron. I'm sorry. This guy's evil. Stop defending him. I'm sorry. It's sort of like it's beyond a conspiracy theory. It's like we have so much evidence that proves that Fauci was funding the Wuhan virology lab in which the lab leak happened for gain-of-function research. And he lied about it under oath. The guy deserves to lose his job. The guy deserves to be in jail. Fuck Fauci.
Yeah, it wasn't an intentional leak, though, is what the...
No one ever said intentional. It could be complete.
Yeah.
It could be complete incompetence, which I totally buy. The lab leak theory is just the fact that this is not a bat
they have some
suit.
sort of trouble with a week prior to that?
The lab leak. I'm sorry. The lab leak theory is not that like it was intentionally let out by the Chinese government. The lab leak theory is just the idea that this was a man-made virus, not that it was basically a bat soup. And basically every headline in every newspaper across the country said anyone who purports the lab leak theory is a crazy conspiracy theorist and you need to discount them right away. Bullshit. We know it's fucking a lab leak. We were building this virus. That's fucked up.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, okay, so you agree that Fauci deserves to be in jail.
I don't know about that.
He funded the research that built it, and then he lied about it.
from what I understand, like they're misinterpreting the gain of function definition.
Yeah, he's playing very loose with the definition. It's sort of like there is no true Scotsman fallacy because he wants to be hyper specific. There's like 3 different definitions of what gain of function actually entails, and he's choosing to use one definition when the other definition that actually exists is completely valid.
Yeah.
That still makes him a liar. Or an idiot. He could just be an incompetent idiot, at which point he still deserves to lose his job.
Yeah,
Sorry, I didn't want to go off on...
They couldn't fire him, though, right?
Why
I know
not?
Trump wanted to.
Why doesn't Biden fire him?
They made, because he's
He's a good
people on the
mouthpiece
left-
for his agenda.
People on the left like him, so.
He's a good mouthpiece for their agenda.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trump wanted to fire him, but he was because he was appointed and he wasn't
Yeah,
or
because
not.
he actually didn't hire him, and the guy was a liar.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't want to get into Fauci, but Fauci might be my at the bottom of my shit list, right below Roger Goodell. But seriously, I can't believe that there are people still walking around thinking the bat soup was how the coronavirus came to be.
People trying to sell it still.
Yeah, the media, but no one should trust the media at this point.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that was a good, honest yeah. No, I love that yeah because it basically says, yeah, I know the media's been lying to us for the last 2 years, but or 4 years or 5 years or however long, but I mean, what are we gonna do? Stop listening to them?
Just fund local newspapers.
That's fun local newspapers so they can lie to us.
You should look into that. I need to see if that was part of the bill or not.
Listen, the older I get, the more I trust Alex Jones. Honestly, this is why you should never take me seriously. Honestly, I used to listen to Alex Jones' comedy. It's funny. He's funny. He's ridiculous. And then as each year goes on, I realize, okay, he's more right about things than I realized. Oh fuck, he's more right about things than I realized. And then I realize he's the last source of legitimate news I can find. That's fine.
I think he just picks up on certain things that a lot of it might not be true, but there might be little kernels of truth.
That was
in some of this stuff.
That was the Trump argument that Trump never got the details right, but he basically had a kernel of truth behind everything he was saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That.
I heard that the explanation of the 2016 election was best described as people found more truth in the unscripted lies of Donald Trump than the scripted lies of Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
Because Donald Trump had no filter. He basically just said whatever was on his mind. And a lot of times he wasn't right, but usually there was something to what he was saying that was actually true. And people would look into it and oh God, he was right about that. Shit. Whereas Hillary Clinton had very scripted lies. It felt like there's nothing about Hillary Clinton that felt genuine. She felt like a made man. Like she was put out before us and we're supposed to I don't know, bow down to her for some reason.
Yeah, no one liked her.
No one liked Biden. And yet here we are.
Yeah. Well, that's the counter movement for you.
Well, no, it's not the counter movement. Biden is the establishment through and through. Here's what I'll say about Bernie Sanders.
The counter Trump movement.
Sure.
They don't like Biden, but they hate Trump more. That's the kind of counter.
Yep, that's true. That's absolutely 100% true. Here's what I'll say about Bernie Sanders. I think he's wrong about 90% of the stuff he talks about. But I think he's genuine, and I think he's on the side of the people. I don't think Joe Biden's on the side of the people.
I gotcha. Yeah. He's barely on his own side.
Oh, well.
What's this last conspiracy here?
I think there was only 9. Yeah, there was only 9.
You're right.
Yeah. All right, we probably got to wrap this up now because it's getting a little late. So this podcast took an unexpected turn.
Yeah, we started talking about conspiracy theories.
Well, no, we started on conspiracy theories.
That's true, yeah. Then we went into
capitalism versus socialism
theory.
No, capitalism versus socialism.
economic theory.
Are you a socialist?
I wouldn't define myself as anything right now.
Do you think that someone has the right to own a business?
I think so. I think LLCs might have too much protection, though.
Okay, that's fair. So you're more like a social democrat.
Like I said, I wouldn't pin myself on anything right now. If anything, I'm more libertarian than I would have thought 10 years ago.
What I think is funny is that you and I took that political compass test. We were like both equally libertarian, except I was slightly more right and you were slightly more left.
Yeah.
Which led me to believe that we agree on a lot more than we disagree on, even though in this podcast it seems like we disagreed a lot. But no, we generally want people to be well. We just have different ways to go about it.
Yeah, I mean...
And we're not on the side of corporate power or government power.
No power.
Well, I don't think that you can do away with hierarchy, but I also agree that like there's too much power in the hands of some corporations and government. But the idea that we're all going to live in this egalitarian society where everyone has equal power, it's never going to happen. That's more like utopian than for my tastes.
Yeah, we need to get the anarchist guy back on.
Let's do that. When's the next time you're available?
Me?
I can always get a guest for our show, but I got to know your schedule because you're the one who actually is a little more.
I mean, my next weekend's open, and then after that, then we start moving towards the Christmas push.
Okay. So if I can get our anarchist friend back onto the podcast, do you think you'd be available for next Saturday?
Yeah, I don't have any plans. So.
I'll text him.
Might be going to a strip club that weekend.
You're going to tell me more about that off show. Anyways, even though we did not review the thing we said we were going to review, I still enjoyed this conversation.
Yeah, we'll save it for a future Patreon, you know.
If we get to that point. We added 2 new subscribers in the last month.
Hey!
We're growing. Rocket ship.
Mm-hmm.
All right, by the way, if you like this video of Tina and I rambling about things, hit the like button and subscribe. For Tina and Karen, do the tube. I am Karen.
Tina, out.
All right. Stay safe, everybody, and stay hydrated. We love you.